Hi, today is the 14th of February, and welcome to our Sunday meditation. We have been meditating on the life of a man from the Old Testament in the book of First Chronicles, chapter. We are going to find it, and then when we find it, we are going to read First Chronicles, chapter 4, verse 10. Jabez cried out to the God of Israel, "Oh, that you would bless me and enlarge my territory. Let your hand be with me and keep me from harm, so that I will be free from pain." And God granted his request. So we've been meditating on the hand of the Lord upon us. And on that, we decided to read in Acts and where we are going to find that the church asked for the hand of the Lord to be upon them. And when the hand of the Lord is upon you, is the presence of the Lord, is the fullness of the Lord is upon you as well. Acts 11:21, and the hand of the Lord was with them, and a great number became believers and turned to the Lord, because the hand of the Lord was with them. There was a fast growth of the good news in the Roman world during those days. But unless the hand of the Lord was upon the Christians, that growth wouldn't happen. So the secret of that church is that they had the fullness of God in them. And that's why everywhere they went, and mind you, it wasn't just the apostles' work. Every Christian, every person, when they were persecuted in Palestine, they went to different parts and they fled to different regions of the Roman Empire. And wherever they went, they preached the gospel because the hand of the Lord was upon them. That's what the text is saying of Acts 11:21, that the hand of the Lord was upon them. And then lots of people believed in the good news. Again, in Acts 2:46, and every day they continued to gather together in the temple, breaking bread from house to house, sharing their food with joy and simplicity of heart. And the text also says in verse 47 that they worshipped the Lord together, and the favor and they fell in favor with people. And the Lord added to the church every day those who were saved. So they shared bread together. They ate with joy and simplicity of heart. They praised God, and then they had the favor of people. Even when they were persecuted, they were still doing that. And then the Lord added to the church those who were being saved. Why? Because the hand of the Lord was upon them. The hand of the Lord was upon them. Paul is going to pray for the Ephesians that the hand of the Lord will be upon them as well. And twice he's going to pray in his letter to the Ephesian church. If you are following us in our channel, the channel of the L'Église Baptiste de la Côte Basque, we've been sharing on grace since the beginning of the pandemic here in Europe last year, a year ago, and we've been talking about grace. And since maybe last summer, we've been sharing on Ephesians. And when you read Ephesians, you realize that Paul is praying for the church, so they would have a full understanding of the work of the Lord in their lives. And listen to what he's saying in chapter 3 from verse 14. For this reason I bow my knee before the Father, from whom every family in heaven and on earth derives its name, in order that according to the riches of his glory he may grant you to be strengthened with power through the Spirit in your inner being, that Christ may dwell in your hearts through faith, rooted and grounded in love, in order that you may be empowered to grasp with all the saints what is the breadth and length and height and depth, and to know the love of Christ, which surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled up to all the fullness of God. So the goal here, the goal of his prayer is that they will be filled with all the fullness of God, meaning that the hands of the Lord will be upon them. But before getting there, he's asking that according to the riches of God's glory and God's grace, he may grant that they will be strengthened with power through his Spirit in their inner being. That's the first thing here, that the Holy Spirit will strengthen them. Not just maybe their soul, but their spirit. That's what he's calling here, their inner being, that deepest part of you. He's praying that the Holy Spirit will be there, giving you the strength you need there, in that inner place in your heart. And then the second part of his prayer, he is praying that Christ may dwell in their hearts through faith. The word here is katoikeo. It's not Christ, your life being like a hotel. It's not like Airbnb. It's not a house that you have by the sea. Like I live in an area in France where in the winter, lots of the houses are closed, even in our village, because these are houses that people will occupy in the summer, in July and August. To dwell here is to live permanently. And that's what Christ wants to do. It's not just like you go to church on Sunday and Christ dwells in you on Sunday, and then you go home and you do something else and Christ is not there anymore. That's not the normal Christian way of living. The normal Christian life is to be the dwelling of Christ every day, all the time. So the strength of the Holy Spirit in our inner being, the dwelling of Christ in our hearts through faith, and then we will be rooted and grounded in love. To be rooted here is like a tree planted in the right place. And then that tree will bear fruit. And then to be grounded here is the foundation. We think about the parable of the two houses in Matthew chapter 7 at the end of the Sermon on the Mountain. The house that was built on sand, when the storm came, that house went with the storm. But then the other house was built on the rock. Then when the storm came, the house stood firm, wasn't destroyed. So now he's saying that we should be rooted and grounded in God's love. The power of the Holy Spirit in our inner being, Christ dwelling in us rooted and grounded in love. And I believe these three things are nearly the same thing. And then we are going to understand, it says in verse 19, and to know the love of Christ which surpasses knowledge. We are going to know and to understand the love of God. The word for to comprehend, to understand, is to grasp something for you. And to know has got this, it means that you have a relationship with love. In the Hebrew world, it is the equivalent word in Hebrew is the word that is used for a sexual relation between a man and a woman, and vice versa. So it's very, very, it's not just a knowledge that you know about something, but you really know the love of God. The love of God penetrates you in a way. It becomes you, is part of you. So what happens when the Holy Spirit is strengthening you, when Christ dwells in you, when you are rooted and grounded in love, when you comprehend and you know the love of God, what will happen to you? It's Paul says at the end of his prayer, you'll be filled with the fullness of God. You'll be filled with the fullness of God. And that should be your goal, to be filled with the fullness of God. That's what that man in First Chronicle is asking. The presence of God, the fullness of God. And Christ has got the fullness of the fullness of God. And Christ is in you. Christ is in us. So life is not easy at all. And you realize, you understand now that life is not easy at all. But you can have the fullness of God in you. And that will help you to get through this life, to go through trials and tribulations. And it will help you as well to share the good news of the gospel. Because the fullness of God in you is the hand of the Lord upon your life. God bless you.